Why are you working, Grace?
I need to put in more effort to write my essays.
Do you not want to come sales with me?
I want to, but I've got to really try to make sure that I put this together.
Oh.
You know.
How long have you been at this?
Yesterday.
Since yesterday?
Yeah, that's why I didn't go with you guys to the Christmas party. Hello, Hal?
Hi.
Could you talk to us about how dyspraxia affects you as an undergraduate person?
Well, it affects my ability to plan activities, so to plan getting dressed in the morning, to plan eating my breakfast on time, so that I have enough time to walk to uni, to go to the lectures, and then planning how I'm going to take notes. Basically, it makes my ability to plan is just practically out of the window. Everything, because it gives me so much trouble planning, it takes me twice as long as it takes everyone else to do things. And because I have motor problems, obviously, getting dressed in the morning takes twice as long as it takes everyone else. And walking to college takes twice as long as it takes everyone else. And taking notes in lectures, because I have to listen to what they're saying and at the same time type, because I can't handwrite, because my handwriting is so terrible that I can't even read it myself. So I have to try and split my focus of hearing and typing it down, which, because I have auditory processing problems, which most dyspraxic people do have some auditory processing problems, it means that my ability to do that is so much slower, so I can only take half the notes that everyone else can take.
Yes.
And then when it comes to organising, talking to lecturers, because you have to go speak to them afterwards, because it takes me twice as long to walk to the seminars and to find where the seminars are, because there are no maps, and when you're dyspraxic, telling your left and right is so hard, so knowing which corridor to go down is practically impossible because the signage is awful. So I spend half of my time trying to find a room that I've been to 40 times this year, instead of being able to actually spend my half an hour between lectures going to a lecturer and asking the lecturer questions about things. And then when I do get to ask lecturers about questions about things, because I have trouble talking, and because I'm tired from doing everything, that it makes it so much harder to do, because I have oral dyspraxia as well, it makes it harder to say words. When you're slurring your words and you're maybe not talking as well as other people don't want to listen to what you have to say, because they're assuming that occasionally they will assume that you're drunk, and sometimes they'll just assume that, well, you're a bit dim, and if they try and talk to you, it will take double the time that it takes talking to another student. So why bother when I can, I've got something to do, I'm busy, come back another time, send me an email. But writing down an email is so much harder, because organising your thoughts and putting them down to words is harder when your brain works in a way that makes that hard. And also talking to other people, like, I think like fashion is a big thing for most students, like they're big into fashion, and if you don't dress well then they're a bit arseholey to you. But I can't wear anything that has buttons, because I can't physically do up buttons. I can't I don't want to, but even if I did want to, I can't wear makeup because I don't have the manual dexterity to apply it to my face. I can't wear shoes unless I have someone else to tie the shoelaces for me. It's just, everything is double the time, and some things you, even with double the time, you can't do. And the way they try and make up for it is to give you, well, maybe 20 minutes extra on your exam. But that 20-minute extra on your exam doesn't account for the, quite frankly, double the amount of time you have to work to get to grips with the basic information. Not understanding it, but actually getting it to you. That other people don't have to spend that time doing. They can get a part-time job, they can go out drinking on the weekends, they can spend their time doing other things, but when you have dyspraxia and other disabilities, because I have more than just dyspraxia,
yes,
but when you have...
It also overlaps. Dyspraxia.
Yeah, when you have dyspraxia and other things together, especially, all of your time is eaten by trying to do half of what other people can do without thinking.
Yeah.
And there's no account for that, and there's absolutely no support for the emotional toll that takes upon students.
Yes.
Because if, as I just said, all of that is so much harder for you, and everyone else is talking about how it's hard for them, because undergraduates, they moan, is what we do. But there's no one there to talk about how it actually is really, really, really hard. And when you've been trying to do something that takes you double the time in the same amount of time as everyone else, and you're not getting the results that everyone else is getting, you start to feel like you're the problem.
Yes.
That you are basically, you're shit and you shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
And then you try and talk to people about it, but they don't understand what dyspraxia is at all. So even if you try to explain it to them, they would just think that you're the average whiny undergraduate who's talking about how it's so difficult. So it is so easy to get like just isolated socially, which just makes you really, really depressed. And why would you stay somewhere that makes you isolated and depressed? And that is why we don't stay here, or we get shit grades. And it's your fault, it's not our fault. Okay, how does dyspraxia affect you as a university student?
Let's start with what dyspraxia is.
Yeah.
It's not a visible disability. And at first they call it clumsiness and things like that. Dyspraxia has to do with the brain. And you all know the brain is connected to every sense organ in your body, your mouth, which is used for communication, your nose, which is used for sensing, your eyes, which is used for seeing, your ears, which is used for hearing, your hands, your legs, your feet, and your emotions. So imagine when someone is talking to me and they're speaking a language I understand, but I have to make my brain understand what they're saying. I have to grab the information, look for somewhere in my head where that information fits in, look virtually, maybe visualize what they're saying and put it together. And in such a case, it might take you a long time to now reply. But okay, and you find yourself like, I find myself sometimes going late to lectures. For goodness sake, you think that the fact that I woke up 6 o'clock for a lecture that I have 9 o'clock and I should be there on time. After all I'm going to do is have my bath and eat. But no, for some reason I get disorganized. I find myself going here, going there, and I'm like, okay. And you realize, oh, before you know it, it's just a few minutes to the time to go for lectures. And you're like, oh, for goodness sake, and I woke up 3 hours ago. You find that you drop this, you drop that, you bump into things that everybody knows has been there. You know it's there, but you're so, your coordination, your body coordination and everything, your brain is not taking that time. It's like a bit longer for the brain to realize that, yeah, that is there. So that table is there. So tell your eyes can tell your brain is there. So now tell the brain should tell the body to move this direction away from the table. It takes a while. And a normal person will respond quickly. And then before you know it, I bump into it. And that's just another one. And when they talk to you in the lectures, you're like, okay, it's a long while. I know he's saying something. But because sometimes I just get like, my brain is like, it's frying. Because everything they're saying is like, it's taking more strength for me to like, put everything together quickly. And I'm like, okay. And then at that point you're like, oh, I just can't be, you get to drift away. That's when I go into my own little world, because already I'm overwhelmed. My brain is like trying to listen at the same time, look at the PDF or what, the things on the VLA, and I'm trying to the pictures and then the word from the lecture. And I'm like, okay, this is way out of my... at that stage you feel overwhelmed because your brain has been working a lot. And normally when I was in the secondary school, they tell you, oh, you can get up and leave the lecture room, relax for a few seconds, and then come back. No, you leave the classroom. But in the lecture room, you are a university grad, undergrad. The lecturer is going to be upset if you just go out every 20, 30 minutes because you're getting overwhelmed by what they're doing and what the lectures and things like that, and you need to like calm your brain down. They should understand that. Maybe somebody needs to tell them that, listen. And then you don't think that I'm taking your lectures for granted. Okay, now let's talk about isolations and, you know, people communicating to you. When you give them a group, when the lecturers give us a group work, and then they think that, okay, it's the same instruction that I've given you all, and then one person quickly finish. Mind you, you told us to do A, B, C, D. When you give that instruction A, B, C, D, I have just been able to grab the D and remember the D. A, B, C, D, and then what happened to A, B, C? Okay, class, can you please name the list of the living animals, and when you name them, you now name which is masculine, which is feminine, and then you now put the colors, and then you tell where they are found. Okay, someone like me who is dyspraxic would remember maybe one of it that I can quickly connect to, and I grab that, and that is the one I can work on, and then I have to wait and then try to see remember or look around to see if I can get the other instructions that you gave us from other colleagues. And if other colleagues now start looking at you that, oh, you're not contributing. It's not that I don't want to contribute. And the worst part of it is, sometimes you're talking to people, they're like, oh, well, what's she saying? Because the way you talk sometimes is my communication, because of my dyspraxia, I mumble things up sometimes, and sometimes I say the words without, and then it would not make sense to the person I'm communicating with, but to me it makes sense. But because you are an able learner or an able lecturer or, you know, an able person, to you what I've said does not make sense. And that's the communication. So sometimes I'm like, why bother to say anything? And as such, I end up realizing that I don't have, you know, social networks, especially within the campus. And if you don't have that, they don't want to like do some work with you. People would want to like stay away from you when it comes to doing group projects. And people would even sometimes feel that you're not of any contribution. And I just think that people need to understand that it's not just about clumsiness, and we do have people that are dyspraxic in our institutions.
Daniel Radcliffe's dyspraxic. Harry Potter, the guy who plays Harry Potter, he's dyspraxic.
See, so we do have grown-ups that are dyspraxic, and if the lecturers and the disability students department, if people could understand that it's when it comes to your writing, when it comes to your communication, when it comes to your dressing, when it comes to your interaction with people, when it comes to your managing yourself, when it comes to managing your interaction and coordinating, dealing with people, so it affects in every sense. And you feel like and because also your expression sometimes, because of that, you don't know when someone says something that is funny, you don't know when to smile, you don't know how to respond to social situations and social environments. And I think that also has a way of having some psychological impact. And basically, as a dyspraxic person, I would say that an able child that is 10-year-old, in some cases, I would say that person is mentally, and when it comes to, you know, ability, is better than me, though I am almost 40 something.